to Entry Point Virtual Church. We are glad that you've joined us today.
Good morning. Please pray with me. Dear God, we all face situations where we are at a crossroads and are given the opportunity to take one of two paths. The first path is one of self-righteousness, judgment, and condemnation. The second path consists of humility, understanding, and tolerance. Sometimes we think it'll feel better to be right and let the other person know it. I fall into this category often. This is especially true when the other person is certain and happens to be mistaken. My need to be right kicks in. Just ask my wife, Leslie. Please help us recognize and avoid this pitfall. It makes us small, it diminishes the other person, and there's always an emotional hangover for both parties. By taking the high road, we respect others and ourselves, and we remain on level ground. Humility and grace versus hubris and grandiosity. Please keep us on this path, Lord. Amen.
Robert Frost wrote a poem called The Road Not Taken. It's a fairly commonly studied poem in schools, and it's often taught to help students understand the difficulty of making choices. Let's listen to the poem, and then let's see what it might mean for our adult lives.
Two roads diverged in a yellow wood, and sorry I could not travel both and be one traveler. Long I stood and looked down one as far as I could to where it bent in the undergrowth. Then took the other as just as fair, and having perhaps the better claim because it was grassy and wanted wear. Though, as for that, the passing there had really worn them about the same. And both that morning equally lay in leaves no step had trodden black. Oh, I kept the first for another day. Yet, knowing how way leads on to way, I doubted if I should ever come back. I shall be telling this with a sigh, somewhere ages and ages hence. Two roads diverged in a wood, and I took the one less traveled by, and that has made all the difference.
Mr. Frost talks about two roads, a more heavily traveled road, which turns out to be the road he did not take, and a less traveled road, the road that he took, that I think represents the high road. It's easier to take the low road, the one more commonly traveled, the road filled with getting even and getting revenge. The low road is pretty heavily traveled. It's where you can compare stories with other travelers about ways to make other people look bad, techniques on lying about someone's character, ways to make outrageous false claims and slander, and countless other strategies to hurt someone. That road is filled with traffic. It's filled with angry, jaded people who are clearly not filled with peace. The road less traveled, the high road, is not so well traveled. The traffic is lighter. Its travelers are calmer and quieter. These travelers are working hard to find something good about each person. They're trying to figure out how to handle a tough situation with dignity and with love. Make no mistake, these travelers on the high road are feeling pain. These travelers on the high road are often lonely and wistful. They often shake their heads in disbelief. Robert Frost concludes his poem with these words: "I took the road less traveled, and that has made all of the difference." When should we take the high road? How do we take the high road, and what does that even look like? Well, painful confrontations and arguments are an unfortunate part of life. People can get downright mean and behave in unbelievably hurtful ways. We all know this. How are we supposed to respond, though, when people behave irrationally? As children, we sometimes cry, or we tell on the person who hurt us. Children often have meltdowns from hurtful comments. They just don't have the same ability as adults to cope with their feelings being hurt. But what about us, the adults? Our feelings get hurt too. What do? Well, we either take the more traveled road of anger and getting even or getting back at, or we dig down and we find within us the ability to give grace, to not respond in anger or in revenge. And we take the road less traveled. We take the high road. Can any of us always take the high road? Absolutely not. But we can find ourselves on that higher road more often than we believe. Monique Honeman, author of Staying on the High Road When the Low Road is Calling, wrote these wonderful words. "The high road has less traffic is a life philosophy that says you maintain your moral compass, your personal code of ethics, and your values at all times. Taking the high road means you are able to look yourself in the mirror and be proud of how you acted or reacted in light of trying situations. It means that you had an opportunity to respond with equally nasty behavior and you chose not to." What actually happens to us when we are enduring an attack from someone who is firing off at us from the low road? They're speaking or yelling from a place of anger or even rage. They're attacking us because of their own wounded feelings. Sure, that's easy for me to articulate right now. I'm not in the middle of someone attacking me or ignoring me or making a hurtful statement. When we are attacked, we want to sink to that same level. We want to strike back with our own words, even though we know that trying to make this idiot see our view will probably solve nothing. According to an article entitled "Don't Get Hijacked, Take the High Road" by Dr. Laura Markham, all those challenging emotions that flood us and wash us on to the low road can be traced at core to feelings of fear, powerlessness, grief, disappointment, and disconnection. How can we find ourselves on the high road more frequently? Well, there's a few simple steps. The first is to practice mindfulness. Notice what is happening in the moment, in your body. Every time we take a deep breath and we feel the sensations in our body, we're practicing mindfulness. We're pressing the pause button so that we aren't just getting triggered. That gives us a choice about which road to choose. A second step is to accept feelings and take loving action. Now, what does that mean? We usually start sliding down onto the low road by tolerating behavior that we don't like, but we didn't take any action to prevent it. So we get increasingly annoyed and we finally get hijacked by our own anger. The high road is accepting feelings while taking loving action. Thirdly, don't get hijacked by the low road. Those emergency feelings of fight and flight and freeze tell us that we're on the low road. We aren't that emotion. We are observing that emotion. It will pass. We need to melt the rage away by letting ourselves feel the sadness, the fear, and the disappointment under the anger. And finally, the low road never leads to the destination we want. We need to remember that. The low road is a dead end. Children who feel ugly act ugly. All of us act ugly when we are out of sorts. The low road is fear. The high road is love. Taking the high road sometimes means to choose to simply not respond. This might mean the end of communication between two people, or even the end of the relationship altogether. This action can still be considered taking the high road because there's been no stooping to the low ground, no effort to seek revenge or to discredit the other person or throw him under the bus. There's an exercise that therapists sometimes use to help people create healthy boundaries with people, especially people in their own families. This exercise is called Gifts and Poison, and it goes like this. Imagine your immediate family members all seated at a table at which you are the birthday guest. Your family members are all alive and you are magically transported back to, say, your 10th birthday. As you sit there, each family member offers you a gift. You graciously accept their gift and you thank them. For example, my brother gave me the gift of laughter. My mother gave me the gift of the power of words. And my father gave me the gift of strength. Then, in the blink of an eye, each family member also extends a cup toward you. They're offering you a cup of poison. My brother offered self-doubt. My father offered insecurity. And my mother's poison was anxiety. They don't know they are offering these cups because they come from their own brokenness. You firmly but politely refuse to drink their poison. You accept their gifts, but you deny their poison. This exercise can be applied to those who are offending you and shouting at you from the low road. Not responding to someone who has offended you is deciding to not drink the poison that they have consistently offered to you. Taking the high road, the choice to love, is giving the gift of grace. Grace, that mysterious, generous do-over, that unconditional support when you really have no reason to do so, that 35th chance to start all over, that ability to see the other person in their best light instead of in their ugliness. Grace, that thing we all want and rarely want to give. Taking the high road means trusting God or your higher power to fix it for you, because you've realized you can't fix it. You cannot correct this situation. It is beyond your control and it's driving you crazy. Why should we take the high road? Because it's the right thing to do. It's tough to love some people. Some days it's almost impossible to love any people. People are messy. They're needy. They're weak at the wrong time, strong at the wrong time, stubborn, immature, and just plain difficult. And so are we. We all need a break. We all need that second or that 25th chance. We all need grace. So love them anyway. The following prayer has been credited to Mother Teresa. People are often unreasonable, irrational, and self-centered. Forgive them anyway. If you are kind, people may accuse you of selfish, ulterior motives. Be kind anyway. If you are successful, you will win some unfaithful friends and some genuine enemies. Succeed anyway. If you are honest and sincere, people may deceive you. Be honest and sincere anyway. What you spend years creating, others could destroy overnight. Create anyway. If you find serenity and happiness, some may be jealous. Be happy anyway. The good you do today will often be forgotten. Do good anyway. Give the best you have, and it will never be enough. Give your best anyway. In the final analysis, it is between you and God. It was never between you and them anyway. Ultimately, taking the high road is choosing to take the path of love. I took the road less traveled, and that has made all the difference. My prayer for all of us is that whenever possible, we take the road less traveled. We take the high road, the path of love. Amen.
Walk along the shore, and you walk
join us next Sunday at Connor Prairie. Have a great week.